Hi, this is Chuck Hester. I'm a contributor for WRL TechWire, and today we're talking to Scot Wingo, general partner for the Tweener Fund. And Scott, appreciate you taking the time today.
Hey, Chuck, good to see you. Excited to see you on WRAL.
Yeah, thank you. So let's dive right into it. Tell us about the Tweener Fund for those of you who don't know what it is, and also the new investments that you announced today.
Yeah, so my day job is an entrepreneur here in the Triangle. I'm working on my fourth startup called Spiffy. So many of you may know me for that. Also, the other one that was pretty big is Channel Advisor. And then my passion project is encouraging and supporting entrepreneurship in the Triangle area. So in 2015, I started the Tweener list, which is a list of companies in the Triangle that are over $1 million in run rate and under 80 million. So kind of like this Goldilocks list, if you will, but I use the word tweener. And then we launched a sister fund to that based on some data and this idea that wouldn't it be interesting to be able to invest in an index of startups? I can go invest in an index of the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial area, the Dow Jones Industrials, the Russell 2000. But what if we did a private company index for those that want to, get a really good segment of Triangle startups and invest in them? So started this fund in 2022. It's got a simple theory. It is an index. So the idea is to invest small checks in lots of companies. It's Triangle only. So the company has to be headquartered in the Triangle. Our preference is for the companies to be in that tweener zone, which is $1 million annual revenue or over 80 a month. And our investors are, you call them LPs or limited partners in the venture world. They are angel investors and they are accredited. One pitch for those watching is we are always open for new accredited investors. So that's the quick backstory on the Tweener Fund.
Okay. And your announcement today was for, if I get this right, 18 different firms, $940,000.
Yeah. So every quarter, what we do is we announce our portfolio for what we invested in the previous quarter. So today we announced our Q1 quarter of 2024, and we had 18 investments in the quarter that totaled over $940,000. About $52,000 per investment. Now, some of them are as big as 150,000, some are as little as 25,000, but they blend together to be 52,000 on average.
Okay.
And then that 18, there was 8 existing companies, which is what you would call a follow-on investment, where we made an investment in the company over a year ago. The company's had a lot of progress. It's raising more money, and we wanted to participate in that to keep our ownership level, even though it's small, at the same time. And then there was 10 new companies.
Excellent. And this is a pretty big week coming up for Raleigh startups. Raleigh Durham Startup Week is coming up, and I understand you're actively involved with that, and including the Tweener Fund Awards that are coming up on next Wednesday. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, spring is a great time for entrepreneurship in the Triangle. We just had the CED's Venture Connect, and that was really well attended over in the Raleigh side of the Triangle at the Citrix headquarters. That was a great event. I was an MC there. My co-GP, Robbie Allen, he was there pitching Bionic. And then coming up, we have Raleigh Durham Startup Week, and that's going to be April 9th through the 12th. 9th and 10th are in Durham, and 11 and 12 are in Raleigh. And this one's more Venture Connect is obviously the word ventures in there. It's for outside VCs to come into the area and meet our startups. Raleigh Durham Startup Week is more internally focused. So let's get our entrepreneurs together and talk about how you grow your companies. So 2 things we've done there from the Tweener side. They approached us and said, hey, could we kind of tie this Tweener thing you guys are doing in? And we said, sure, we have 2 ideas. Number one is we would really like there to be a track. In previous years, Raleigh Durham Startup Week was really more in the startup phase that we would call early stage. So before a company gets to product market fit. PMF, product market fit, is a phrase we use a lot in startup land, which is great. Those are topics like, how do you start a company? Do you do an LLC or an S corp or a C corp? How do you get your first? How do you deal with angel investors? How do you get a co-founder? All very important topics. But one of the things we thought is there's a lack of content for scaling your business. So they have added a scale track, which we're excited to, and we've contributed a lot of content, and I'm speaking at that. And the second thing is, in 2019 and then 2021, we did some Tweener list launch event where the Tweener list would come out usually in the spring. And we would announce the new tweeners and congratulate the companies that had either a big funding round the prior year or an exit. So we're going to bring that back in concert with Raleigh Durham Startup Week. So the evening of the 10th on the Durham side at the Durham Baseball Park, where the Bulls play, we'll be having an event that starts at 7, and we'll have a little award ceremony. It's just going to really be a fun event for people to celebrate the larger companies in the Triangle and how they're doing. And we'll also be releasing the new Tweener list that day that will announce all the new companies that have been added and all the cool new things that come along with it.
That's excellent, Scott. So let's talk about the startup ecosystem in general. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing Triangle businesses today?
It kind of goes through different timing things. The last 6 months, so let's call it the third and fourth quarter of 2023, were pretty slow from a funding perspective. The whole investment stack was kind of locked up. IPOs weren't happening, and M&A has been frozen. So that causes downstream effects where it used to be later stage investors were getting conservative, and then we saw, especially in fourth quarter of last year, even early stage outside the Triangle investors like pausing for a while. The good news is in Q1 we saw some really good signs that has kind of defrosted, if you will. So one thing we look for is what we would call a perfect new round. Perfect being it's a new investor to the company, so it's not just someone already in the company. It's an up round. So if the last round had, let's say, a $10 million valuation as its post money, this one is well north of that. And then so up round, new money, and then a fresh lead. And by lead, that means not only is there new money coming in, but they're saying, look, I like this company enough that I'm going to lead a round, which means you price it and put in about half of the round. So they'll come in and say, all right, I want to lead a $3 to $5 million round, and we're going to put in $2 million of that. Let's call it 4 to pick the middle, and then the company has the ability, existing and other investors have the ability to put in another $2 million. So we saw 4 or 5 of those just in Q1, and some of them were in our existing portfolio, and some were some of the companies we added. But we've already seen, we're 2 days into Q2. 3 days, and we're starting to see signs of at least that level of activity, if not more. So feels like things that some people call them green shoots or whatever you want to call them. I'll call them signs of life in the early stage investing phase. So I feel like that's one that's just kind of oscillating. Everyone's go-to is they always say there's not enough capital in the Triangle. That's true, but there's enough capital that comes to the Triangle. I think the challenge our folks have is just hiring specific talent. Sometimes we're really good on engineering talent, that types of things. Like my last company, it was very hard to find a CFO that had public company experience, for example. So as you grow, you get some of these specialized things. I would argue, though, that was 2012 when we had that challenge. I think like now we could probably find 5 or 6 of those types of folks. So we're solving a lot of that, but there's always things we could do better.
There we go. Scott, I appreciate you taking the time. Any final thoughts?
No, I appreciate WRL and what you guys do covering what we're doing in the startup world. I think it's great to see local folks commit to not only the business community, but the startup aspect of it. We really appreciate you guys covering startups in TechWare.
Yep, absolutely. Well, look forward to seeing you next week at Startup Week.
Absolutely. I'll see you. Good seeing you, Chuck. Thanks.